Just Beavin season 2, episode number 16. Andy and JP here with you. No Beav this week. He's wrapping out his semester of teaching. Hopefully, going to have him on the pod next week in what will be our championship episode. We head to the semis, the final four here of season 4 in Beaverfest of 2025. And JP, before we get into it, I do want to shout out our guest hosts from last week, Jake Saparo, and as he referred to him as Munch Hendricks, Matt joining as well. Well done, fellas. We appreciate it. And yeah, good to be back here, JP.
Yeah, under bad circumstances, but I agree with you. Shout out to Munch and Zip for filling in for us last week, but we are back now, so you guys are stuck with us one way or another.
Yeah, and as Zippy mentioned last week, no Beeve in the playoffs. He did end up being the odd man out. JP and I made it, but as you're about to realize, things did not go too well for us in the opening round. We're going to recap our 3 first-round matchups and preview the semifinals here. And JP, as we always do, we're going to start off with your matchup against Luke. And you and I were at the Bears game together, along with Crook and Zippy on Sunday, and all three of us, me, you, and Zippy, were watching our matchups unfold, and we figured out pretty early that this was going to be Luke's week.
Yeah, watching DJ Moore score that first touchdown for the Bears was one of the most gut-wrenching moments of my life. Talk about a catch-22, right? Like, do I celebrate the touchdown because the Bears just scored, but Luke also just scored? And sure enough, DJ Moore has his best fantasy game of the season. There's really not much to talk about. My team didn't. I didn't even score my average. I said on the pod a couple of weeks ago. I've said to multiple people in person that I was gonna lose. Well, I was gonna lose in the playoffs, and if I was gonna lose, I was gonna be okay with it because my team just has not been. On paper, my team's phenomenal, but performance-wise, JJ McCarthy is fucking dog shit. I hate him so freaking much. His girlfriend's hot. That's what matters. So shout out his dad for pulling that. Um, but beyond that, shout out to Juwan Jennings. A terrible stat line, but 2 touchdowns, absolutely electric. Jacoby Brissett's been the greatest backup in the world. But yeah, I mean, all glory to Luke on this one. I lost to Aaron Jones, Chigo Konkwu, and Darius Slayton because his first 4 guys combined for 120 points. So, I mean, you win some, you lose some. What the hell? You know, I it's a tough loss, but Luke scored the most points this week. So I mean, can I really be mad? No. Um, I'm really not mad. I'm really only mad that I have to give the belt to someone else. The
Yeah.
way I lost is the way I lost, and it's whatever. Some disappointing performances. A lot of things to consider for my team in the off season. Sorry, could be looking in a new direction there. But shout out to Luke. I'm rooting against you, Luke. Just hope it's not personal. But I really just don't want to see you win. But best of luck moving forward.
Yeah, I think when looking at Luke's squad, the one thing, obviously, he started out hot with Bijan on Thursday Night Football. He just got a boatload of touches, both out of the backfield and from a receiving standpoint. But man, every time I looked over to you, we'll talk about the day Trevor Lawrence had when we get to my team. But every time I looked over to you at the game, like, oh, Lawrence made a big play. It was to ETN. I mean, seriously, that was an unreal game for Travis Etienne. That's one of those where you just kind of got to tip your cap, keep moving. And I think you and I both also said this about each of our teams on Sunday is, if we hit 160, 165, we'd be, a bit more frustrated. But I don't know. I don't know. Does it make a difference for you? And I'll get into it for me. But, with your team scoring 137, does that at least make you feel a little better knowing, like, if you had put up 170 or 180, I'm sure this would have been much more frustrating.
Oh yeah, I mean, but that kind of I mentioned it a few weeks ago on the pod that when I lost, my team I knew my team was going to underperform. It was never, but yes, I mean it would have been way worse had I scored 170, 175 and lost because then my team would have done way better than they've done all year, and I still would have lost. Um, Last year it was that was my average was
Yeah.
170. So this year it was just not in the cards. It was rough all around, but yeah, much calmer and happier since I did not score that many points and lose.
And I'll ask you one last question. On your season as a whole, just your thoughts on your team this year. You won 10 games. But you kind of mentioned that skid at the end of the year. You had a stretch. Was it three? You dropped three of four.
Yep, 3 of 4 was
Just
9-1 and finished 10-4.
just your thoughts on your season in general. Trying to just a main takeaway or just your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think the pieces are here. I don't think anyone would disagree with the pieces. You know, we had injuries come up at the end. I know I can't go to the IR, but Marv hasn't played in a few weeks. I lost Kyler. I know Brissett's been really good, but the seal Brissett's been in that like 18 to 22 range, and I know Kyler sometimes has like some 12 point, some 14 points, but his ceiling, he's up in the upper 20s because of the rushing factor if he rushes one in. So some injuries stacked up there. Takeaway. The Ravens really killed me this year. They were two of the reasons last year I was so good. And then Brock Bowers taking the entire season to get going because Chip Kelly is a terrorist. So that took a while to really come to fruition. But my team is still one of the youngest in the league, and a lot of my core players are young. Fannin was an absolute smash in the rookie draft. Bowers has been solid coming since Chip Kelly's been fired. Brian Thomas Jr. is coming alive now. The one I have to worry about now is Justin Jefferson. So it's like what the hell. But takeaway, I'm disappointed. Disappointed in how the season ended, but know that I'll be probably back here in this position talking about my team a year from now, whether it's a win or loss in the playoffs.
I didn't realize Fannin had 14 targets on Sunday.
Yeah,
That's
dude,
actually bonkers.
it was
Yeah, no,
nuts.
I get it. I get it. It's frustrating, but there's also not much you can do in the same spot. Credit to Luke. He moves on to the semis, and we'll talk more about his matchup in the coming week. And we now move on to my matchup, very fittingly, against Frank, the second highest scorer this week. I scored the least amount of points out of any playoff team, and I think I said something to you on Sunday along the lines of on our car ride back that my team just we didn't. I mean, we didn't deserve to win. We didn't play like we deserved to win. I wasn't very frustrated with the loss either. I was frustrated at certain guys like Joe Burrow and Brees Hall. Right? I mean, those performances simply cannot happen. Puka being great, doing what he's done all year. Puka's fall off at the end of the season, very, very frustrating. But that's kind of what I've grown to expect out of him. That might be more of his norm. Watson got hurt. Ferg didn't do much, but the game was already out of hand by the time Ferg played. But Trevor Lawrence, man, that was truly unbelievable. 5 touchdowns, 330 yards, 6 total touchdowns with his one on the ground. And ironically enough, he wasn't able to really get anything to Brenton Strange, which I figured he goes off. Strange should at least have 10. He gets 4.35. I mean, if it's not for Trevor Lawrence, if Trevor Lawrence has just a regular 20-point game, I put up 110. So like my team played pretty bad this week, and we definitely didn't deserve a win. And I totally get that. On Frank's side, Trey McBride might be the most unstoppable guy in fantasy football all season. I think the stat is even larger now that Travis Kelce was the tight end too. It's either the tight end 19 or the tight end 28. He's closer to points to one of those guys than he is to McBride at number one. Just what Trey McBride has done this year, truly unbelievable. 12 catches on 13 targets for 2 scores. And Dalton Schultz, how many times have I said this year on this podcast that Dalton Schultz has been like the most underrated guy on Frank's team? Him and CJ Stroud combined for 50. There just wasn't much I was going to be able to do this week. I give credit to Frank. He was the 2 seed for a reason. He's got a really good team. He's bounced back from losing Malik Neighbors, right? We all thought when Frank lost Neighbors, his season was over. And now he's got a really good shot to go win this thing. I really do believe that. And he did it with not getting much out of his running backs. This was a bad week for Jahmyr Gibbs. Bo Nix played outstanding as well against Green Bay, right? That definitely helps too. But just a really good win for Frank, despite having one of his best players not even hit double digits. I mean, he should be feeling really good about himself going into the semifinals. And my guys left a lot to be desired. So disappointing end of the season. This was a really weird year for me. Started out hot, lost a game to Dade that I should never have lost. And, had a couple of rough losses toward the end. We kind of limped into the playoffs, and it was either my team was going to catch fire and we were going to run, or this is kind of the reality of it all. So I don't want to say I expected to lose. I knew I was clearly the underdog for a reason. And I give credit to Frank. His guys showed up this week, and mine did not. So this is how we end the fourth season. Yeah, I've made the playoffs all 4 years, which I think is a pretty cool thing to hang your head on. But at the same time, if you get out of it without the belt, does it really matter at the end of the day? So we'll see what this means moving forward. I'll have to step back and think about some stuff. But credit to Frank, and yeah, just a disappointing way to end my season.
Yeah, neighbors and no London. He hasn't had London
Drake
for
London, yeah,
a while here either. Yeah, Frank's team looks good. Like you mentioned, 177 without anything from the running back. So you take the guys who, outside of McBride, you probably can't expect 28 points from Schultz next week, but Gibbs will pick up right where that left off. I think Frank's gonna end up right in the same scoring range. So he plays Luke, as we'll get to. Luke's gonna have to do exactly what he did against me, or Luke's gonna lose by 20 plus. It's gonna take a lot to beat Frank. Frank's got some good matchups, as we'll get to next week. I don't have much to add. You covered a lot of the matchup. But yeah, I mean, tough way to go out. I mean, not really though, because 177. What the hell are you gonna do? But it truthfully and honestly just sucks. Making the playoffs and then losing. I know that's like such a just level statement, but
yeah,
uh, getting on here to record this podcast after being eliminated from the playoffs is one of the hardest things I've had to do in the last like 3 weeks, and I just finished 2 weeks of law school finals. Yeah, so those of you who are still in fighting for it, two of you will understand this pain next week. And I know Luke and Boyer and Frank and Matt have all been previously eliminated from the playoffs. Um, but Matt and Luke have never been eliminated in the semifinals, I don't think. Or maybe I did beat Matt. Nope, I beat Matt in the first round. Matt and Luke have never been eliminated in the semifinals. They will both be heavy underdogs going into that. And just know that if you both are to lose, you will understand this feeling and the monotone sense that me and Andy are kind of giving right now is nothing personal. It is truly all just what we've gone through and how much it just sucks to leave the year. You sit through 16 weeks of football for the belt to walk out with absolutely nothing, not even a chance to play for third. Uh, yeah, it just sucks. But shout out to Frank for an absolutely commanding win.
yeah. What comes at you fast? I mean, you and I were in the championship last year, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's
yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
that's how it goes, man. That's the lay of the land, and we have the most entertaining match of the entire week right here. Both Zippy and Matt breaking 160, and this is a matchup. I mean, like I said, you and Jake were together on Sunday, and we kind of got the feeling around halftime of the Bears game that if one of the three of us were to win, it was going to be him. He had the best shot to win out of the three of us this past week, JP, but he just simply couldn't get it done. Boom weeks for both guys on each side. I mean, this was a really good fantasy matchup. Both of these guys' teams came to play, and Jake with the highest points in a loss in his playoff debut, and I know obviously it stings for him as well in that regard, but Matt's moving on as we mentioned, and his guys did what they needed to do this week.
Yeah, when we were getting ready to leave Zip's apartment, we were talking about the Cowboys Vikings game, and I think one of the last things outside of goodbye to him that I said was I think he was down seven, or he at the time he was down something. And he's like, "Yeah, it's gonna come down to Dak versus Williams." And I was like, "Oh fuck!" And that Minnesota rushing defense has been awful, and their pass defense has been great. He's like, "Well, as long as it's in within six, I think I can win." And then he was down seven, and ended up losing. But yeah, I mean, having to start Brandon Roma Dunze re-injuring himself right before kickoff was an absolutely brutal loss. I don't want to say that it was a cupcake win for Matt because Matt's team went off. But who's to say that if Rome's out there, he doesn't score 7 points and Zip wins, right?
Right.
But all credit to Matt. Scored his highest points of the year when it mattered the most, and you know we say it every week, so gotta say it for Matt. You take any win you can get in any way you can get it. So big shout out to Matt, and especially a big shout out to Josh Jacobs, who I own in a couple of redraft leagues.
Yeah, he had a good week. Corlett Sutton as well, over 100 yards, 7 grabs, and a score. Doing a shout out Cam Boyer. He informed us via the chat about Rome not playing. We had no idea. We were there, so we aren't getting these same updates. And we were also wearing 800 layers of clothes, so it's not like our phones were easily accessible. But I mean, I don't know. I was kind of taken aback when Rome was ruled out. I was fully expecting him
Yeah,
to
I mean,
go, and yeah,
2 minutes and 47 seconds left on the game clock or the play clock before kickoff and the anthem and all that. And yeah, Roma Dunze is announced out, and you're just like, what the hell? And then I was then I was starting to panic. I'm like, oh my God, am I gonna have to use commissioner powers? Because this is clearly not fair. We have a bunch of layers on, but then I don't want anyone to think we're cheating. And
Yeah.
luckily it was 12:01 and the game hadn't kicked off yet, and Zip was able to get it taken care of. So
Yeah, and how about Kittle for Zip? And that's a great week. Nearly 30 points. Literally, a lot of his guys showed up and did what they needed to. It's like we said to Matt, right? Hey, you get a week win in this league any way you can get it. His guys showed up, but so did Jake's. Like, this is a good week for Zippy. What do we say? I mean,
yeah,
normally we say 150 gives you a good chance. 160, 100% gives you a good chance. And unfortunately, that's not enough. That's not in the cards. And that's where we get to where we're at right now. I mean, Matt even he won with Devontae Adams going out with an injury, but it's Brandon Cooks, right? That's the difference at the end of the day. I mean, what was on? Oh, it was what's his face? Isaiah Bond.
yeah, Isaiah Bond.
Isaiah Bond would have made the difference. We watched
Isaiah
Isaiah
Bond would have
Bond.
won him the yeah, he's on the taxi squad, but Isaiah
Yeah,
Bond would have. I know that he was between Isaiah Bond and Brandon Cooks
yeah.
and or Kendrick Bourne or something like that. But either way, I mean, if Isaiah Bond gets in there, yeah, I just remember we were watching Isaiah Bond and he's like, Isaiah Bond.
Yeah, two
But
catches for 89 yards. That was so yeah, that would have won Jake the match. It's just tough, man. You know, it really is to sit there and think of the what ifs. It's hard to do to yourself, but give credit to Matt coming out on top, and there you have it. Those three are three winners with Cam Boyer, who received the 1 seed and the first round bye. And oh, cool, I get to play you this week, JP. I can't wait to set my lineup for that. But yeah, let's get to it. Boyer's in action after being out for a week. He gets Matt 151 to 149 at 51% to 50% or 49% rather. And what have we said all year, JP, about Boyer's team? It depends on his running backs and his QB play. That's really what it leans on. We know what JSN is going to do. And that the Thursday night game tomorrow, we're recording this on Wednesday. The Thursday night game, man, does Boyer have a lot to watch for? First of all, that game's going to be
yeah,
awesome. I love
yeah,
that. I love that
it's gonna
that's
be
a
a really
Thursday
good
night game.
game, and I'm so happy we have I bitch. I mean, everyone bitches about it weekly, but I was especially pissed off having to watch Vikings and Cowboys on Sunday night. I mean, what a, and then Steelers Dolphins Monday night.
Horrible,
Finally, we
horrible.
get like a meaningful, not even just like two good teams, but literally division deciding game on prime time. So it's finally we're able to get a game like that.
Yeah, and with him at JSN and Kyron, that's a good pace setting week on Matt's side. He's going to start Colby Parkinson, who I believe scored this past week out of the tight end, or yeah, Parkinson's in his tight end spot, and then Andrews will be in his flex. I want to say he scored. He scored 2 touchdowns. He's got
Yeah,
three in his last 2 weeks, so riding the hot hand. Can't blame him there. It all comes down to matchups. He's playing Audric Estime in this
the
one for
goat.
New Orleans. It's the Saints running back room has been such a headache all year. I really
Yeah,
don't. I mean, as the
everyone's
guy who
hurt.
picked up
Kamara
Kamara,
hurt. Then Miller tears his ACL, and now Neal's out with an
yeah.
injury.
So it is. I mean, it is what it is. We'll see what this comes to. Oh, and I forgot about Boyer's got Stafford too. So there you go. I mean,
Yeah.
a third of his lineup's going to go tomorrow night. He's going to play Jaden Reed against Chicago. Man, I mean, this is so tough. It really is. It depends what Cincinnati or yeah, what Cincinnati's able to do against Miami. It's a really good matchup for Jamar Chase. It a lot of this is going to boil down to that. What Audric Estime looks like as the feature back. I feel like there's less question marks in Boyer's lineup, and he is the 1 seed. And all year we've been saying on this podcast that he is the team to beat, and he should be the guy to win this league in theory. So I feel like it'd be weird to pick against him now. I am going to pick Boyer to win this week, but this is, I think, going to be a lot better of a matchup than we all originally thought.
Yeah, Chase Brown and Jamar Chase both had the luxury of taking on Miami, so that'll be nice. I just think uh, I'm gonna take Boyer to win. While I am scared Matt's gonna win, uh, and Parkinson, Andrews, and Estime, fuck it, even Bryce Young, just so many question marks there. I really don't know if how Bryce is gonna play against Tampa. I know the Tampa defense hasn't been very good, but even so, I mean Tampa's given Bryce fits since Bryce has gotten into the division. Sutton going up against Jacksonville, I like. Collins against the Raiders, I like. Obviously, Jamar versus Miami. The Chargers' run defense has been shockingly well, so we'll see what Williams does there. Uh, I think the Bears keen in on Josh Jacobs. I actually don't mind the Jaden Reed play only because they're really going to have to get creative in the offense if Christian Watson is out and Reed's back. I think Reed becomes more of the, they're throwing screens to him, they're giving him end arounds in the red zone. I think Jaden Reed's a big time touchdown threat. And not saying Josh Jacobs is going to suck, but I think the 23 drops to like a 15. I just think the Bears are going to be very keen in on him because of the injuries to Green Bay. And now that we have Jalen Johnson pretty much almost healthy, I saw this past week in the first half, his snap percentage was at about 80%, which is the highest it's been all season. So that should be interesting to see. Then Baker versus Carolina. Tampa Bay always scores 30 on Carolina, so I absolutely love that. I really love the matchup. Jonathan Taylor, Monday Night Football. The 49ers run defense has been abysmal. Can Philip Rivers hand the ball off 40 times? Yes, he can. Is
Is it
Jonathan
going to
Taylor
be
good?
Phil?
It is Phil.
Oh my
They're rolling
gosh.
with Phil again.
I didn't know. Isn't Anthony Richardson cleared?
Cleared to practice.
Ah,
I don't know if he ever got cleared to play, but he's coming back to practice. I love Waddle versus Cincinnati. If he could stay healthy. I love Metcalf versus Detroit. The Detroit secondary is just terrible. Um, like you mentioned, though, lot riding on Thursday night for Boyer. The Seattle defense has just been unreal. We just saw them stuff Taylor all day. Now Kyron's got to face him. That's going to be a tough matchup. We'll see what Stafford can do. I don't know what the over under in that game is, but you better hope they score around 50 points because you're going to need a lot to come from that. I know JSN's going to be fine. The secondary for Los Angeles isn't terrible. They just don't have a superstar number one to hold down JSN. So I think JSN will be fine. But I think there's a lot of questions then surrounding Kyron and Stafford. So we'll see what comes of that. But yeah, this matchup is going to be one hell of a matchup. I think Matt's team is. I think they both go over projections here, and it wouldn't shock me one bit if we saw Matt in the championship.
old school shootout could be on tap. 42 and a half, the over under for Seattle and LA tomorrow night. So we'll
Better
see,
hope
Matt.
his boys find
We
the end zone.
we will see. And on the other side, uh, both of the guys that beat us, Frank taking on Luke in what is projected to be a much bigger deficit on paper. JP, I'll let you start here and give your thoughts.
Yeah, I love Bo versus Jacksonville. I hate Allen versus Cleveland. Love Gibbs versus Pitt. Love Bijan versus Arizona. Hate Marks versus Vegas. Real stat. Woody Marks has played in 13 NFL games. Woody Marks has left the game in 13 NFL games. So there's questions all over playing Woody Marks. ETN is going to come back to reality, especially versus that Denver defense. Drake London, if he plays versus Arizona, I truly think him and Bijan will not fully cancel out. I'm sure Bijan, have 20 to 24. I think London will score about 18, but London will do enough to keep pace. Moore versus Green Bay did absolutely nothing last time we played Green Bay. He just had his boom game. I took it as a sign as we're going to get DJ Moore involved more, but the reality is he only had 4 targets last game, and he scored 2 touchdowns off that. So what does it really mean? Moore's probably coming back down to reality. Pickens at a stinker versus Minnesota. The LA secondary's been bad. I like that matchup. T-Mac versus Tampa Bay. Again, Bryce dependent. I love Zay versus New England. Love Olave versus the Jets. McBride is the GOAT. Kincaid has been solid, but again, the Cleveland defense. Loveland was kind of, I mean, not quiet, but he had 3 big catches that I can remember off the top of my head. But in terms of fantasy, I think he only scored like 12 or 13, which, I mean, you'll take what you can get. That'd be Kincaid going over his projection. And then Aaron Jones, Okonkwo, and Slayton, I'm not even going to talk about. Stroud versus Vegas, though. Arizona was up 10 to nothing on them in a minute and 13 seconds. The last time when they Arizona and Houston just played on Sunday. I remember looking over at the scoreboard and it was 7 to nothing with like 14:36 or something, or not. It was even less, 14:48. They scored the first play to Nico Collins or something,
Yeah.
and then I remember looking back and it was 10 to nothing with 13:48 on the clock, and I was like, "What? The Arizona is terrible." Uh, I just don't like a lot of Luke's matchups this week. I didn't like a lot of them last week, but I love a lot of Frank's matchups this week. I think Frank scores about the same he did last week. I think we see a Frank versus Cam championship, 1-2 chalk for the first time in league history. No lower seeds making the championship. So
I'm gonna take Frank as well. I think it's ridiculous that Trey McBride is projected 24 points. Like that we have a tight end projected
That's
20.
how
It's
that's how
insane.
Bowers was last year.
And you know what's
The
it's
good
so
old
funny?
days.
He's gonna go over that.
Yeah. Oh,
McBride's going to
100%.
go over that. And if London is good to go, that Atlanta and Arizona matchup to most football fans won't mean anything. But to Frank, that matchup's going to mean everything. His eyes are going to
Yep.
be glued to the screen the entire time in the 3 o'clock slate. I'm with you. The bottom three guys in Luke's lineup, that is just gross. I hate everything about that. He doesn't have another quarterback. He has to
He's
play
got Cooker
Slayton.
Rivers.
Okay, he's playing Slayton. Yeah, I don't. Even though he's projected less points, if Philip Rivers cannot start a Beaverfest semifinal game in the year 2025, to put that in perspective, the last time Philip Rivers played in the NFL, Beaverfest wasn't a thing for another 2 years. And we're on year 4 of our league now. It is just truly ridiculous what he was able to do this past week. Shout out to, I mean, he looked awful, like moving around in the pocket. He looked terrible, but he threw a
Yeah.
touchdown and man, he gave the Colts a shot to win that game. They were in it the entire way. So all things considered, though, you kind of hit it on the head already. I like Frank's matchups better. You can trust his lineup a bit more, and it's just the bottom three for Luke that kills it for me.
Yeah.
I don't care what guys could make up for points in the top end. Frank doesn't really have that, with the exception of Woody Marks. I love that stat. Not that he's gotten hurt, but just how funny and how ironic that is. I just think Frank's team is more solid. He's got guys who can score more points at a regular clip than Okonkwo, Jones, and Slay. I just can't get over. I cannot pick a team in the semifinals that has those three starting on the back end of the roster. I think this one's going to be a bit more separated points wise compared to our other matchup. And I'm with you. I'm going to go chalk. I got Frank and Boyer in the championship next week.
Yeah.
And
I
that,
mean,
yeah,
that's chalk. It is what
that's
it
chalk.
is. Just how
What
I see
what's
it this year.
what seed were you last year?
I was the 3, so never mind.
So we had 1 and 3 last year.
1 and 3 last year.
But then the first two, people forget the first 2 years of our league. Well, probably not because we say it every episode, but the 7 seed has won our league the first 2 years. Not the same thing this
I think
year,
it was the 7 seed versus the 1 seed both times. No,
which is
Dade definitely wasn't the 1 seed. Dade was the 6 seed or the 3 seed. The Dade might have won that cornfield division, so he might have been the 3 seed low key. He might have been 3 versus 7. But either
throw,
way,
back to the cornfields division, man. Those were the days. Those were the days indeed. We know it's a short episode, but this is, if you've been tuning into the program, if you were tuned in last year, this is kind of what happens. We don't have as many matchups to talk about because we're getting down to the end. Hard to believe that next week is already our championship. We thank you all, as always, for tuning in to the Just Beavin podcast. Hopefully we get Drew back next week for our championship episode. We'll see you then.